Hi, this is Matt Goodman with my very first video layout update. First one I thought I'd just dedicate to showing what the space looked like. I've talked about it before on Model Rail Radio and with other friends, and it's one thing to talk about the space, another thing to show it. So this is a typical basement layout. House is a fairly narrow house, and it's divided by the center concrete block wall. The river to start over here, there'll be a couple of scenes here. There'll be a staging on a lower level and a model engine service / classification yard on about 10 inches above that. In both cases, the track will circle around here and move to the back of the room. Now this room over here is is 11 feet 1 inches wide, and it's about 25 feet deep from this area here back to that back wall. And so the basic layout of the layout is going to be a staging yard on this lower level, and lower level with the benchwork level is 32.5 inches about. So the subrib will be resting straight on that benchwork. It'll stay on that benchwork, and actually over here it's going to be underneath the modeled engine yard, so it'll be covered, which is going to be a compromise, I realize. It'll come around here still covered. It's going to go along again on benchwork height underneath what will eventually be Circleville. So the railroad will run right along the front edge of the fascia. Fascia will be portholed so that you can get to the track, but it's basically going to be a really long tail to staging, and it's a compromise, unfortunately, that I had to deal with. The railroad eventually come above ground, back about where my finger is pointing there, and start upgrade around this turnback loop, and eventually reach its about 40 inches above ground in this vicinity here. And go across this valley, and then just after going through this turn here, it'll enter the south end of Circleville. Circleville is where my father grew up. I've talked about that a lot, and this area back here, a little bit of this area back here, and a lot of this will be devoted to Circleville. Just a quick glance at the Sanborn map. This is Circleville, Ohio. So get a little more of that in there. And this lower track here is the track that will be along the back wall, and this track here that heads north is going to be this long section here. So this will be about 40 inches. The track will go around this turnback loop again, climb to about 43 inches, be 44, and then go into a engine servicing facility and classification yard here at about 44 inches, I guess is what it's going to be. At the end of that, it's going to be a double-ended yard. At the end of the yard, it's going to we'll have a tunnel punching through the wall back here, and it'll exit back into the south end of Circleville scene. It's going to be kind of muted. It's not going to be a featured railroad there because it's kind of passing through. And then it's going to go into one of the three scenes I want to model, one being Circleville, the second one being a scene influenced by a viaduct in Orient, Ohio, as on the old B&O. Across that, then eventually go down around the end of the room here, climbing. It's going to be a no-licks, basically, or a lap track. Go across a fairly long bridge across this opening and terminate in a upper staging yard. A couple things worth pointing out are this opening was once 36 inches wide. When I decided to go to the side of the wall, my initial thought was to make tunnels. And my brother came over one day and said, well, just open it up, just take the wall down. So we did just that. You can see where the wall used to be here. So it was 36 inches. Now it's about 7.5 feet. And placed the wooden beam with a much longer steel beam. Next project up is backdrop, which is sitting here. It's the aluminum trim coil, and that will be mounted into right here, mounted into vinyl trim stock along the wall. This will be mounted on the trim stock. Will be mounted on the wall, and then we'll unroll the aluminum and stick it up in a trim coil, punch a few of these tabs in there, lift up in the trim coil, it'll snap in, and then you have a seamless backdrop. And you can see this right here. This insulation right here is intended to not so much give the aluminum support, but to give it something to back against, so that when I come to paint it, there's something to, well, it gives it support, I guess. It's not going to give it shape, I should say, but it will give it support. So that's it. January 29th, 2013.